Holy smokers, this ain't no dang jokers. Palantir stock is down 32% in the past 8 trading days. The flapjacks are not being flipped. They're being left on the grill and they're burning. Look at this move in Coinbase. In less than 3 months, the stock has now fallen 40%. In less than a 2-week span, Robinhood has lost over a quarter of its value. In the past 8 days, AppLovin, one of the very hot stocks in the market, has dropped 36.5%. In less than 3 months, Tesla stock has fallen 41%. MicroStrategy is now down close to 50% from where its November highs were at. In the past 3 months is down 37.5%. The Qs have now lost over 7% just in the past 5 trading days. Oh boy, the Qs, by the way, just think of it as the NASDAQ. Nvidia stock, our fearless leader. Our fearless leader has given up on us, down 8.5% on great earnings, great guidance, all that good stuff, right? But it's never enough. It's never enough. And that stock down 8.5% here today. Look at this. Nvidia is now down over 11% since mid-June. Okay? Stock has gone nowhere for quite a while, despite the numbers being very good. Meanwhile, Trump today saying 20% tariffs coming on China, baby. Tariffs are raining in, okay? The state of the retail investor, which retail investors is a fancy way of saying the average Joe investors, right? We've got a whole situation going on, right? Some noobs are in complete panic mode right now. This is their first ever drop they've gone through, and they are freaking out. They don't know what to do. They're just like, oh my gosh, like it's overwhelming for them, right? Some are selling out of their stocks now. Some are on the verge of selling out of their stocks, right? You have other noobs who understand the game. They might be in their first year or two of investing, but they understand this game. Like they get it. They've been watching a lot of my content. They understand long-term investing, compounding of wealth, those sorts of things, right? And they're buying the dip. They're buying the dip in great companies, right? Then you have broke trolls who are going to be trolling the people that are buying the dip, right? And are going to be talking crap. Oh, you're buying the fallen knife. Oh, that stock just fell again. You bought it. You're so dumb. All those sorts of things, right? Those people are going to be broke for life. Let's always remember that, right? We had to deal with a lot of those people in 2022 when we were buying the dip heavy there. And those broke trolls went bye-bye and we made a fortune. Experienced investors, meanwhile, are sitting back making money on their hedges. They're buying the dip in great companies and just having the time of their lives right now, right? Look at my Costco put options here today. Babies have appreciated over 50%. Oh my gosh. Like the Walmart puts, the Costco puts have been tremendous. And I took half of my profits here today. So now I am playing with all house money on those Costco put options now at this point in time, okay? 3 things we're going to get into in this video here today. First thing I'm going to do, give a prep talk to the community, which I think very much needs it. And I think you guys are going to definitely appreciate that and absolutely love that portion of the video. Second thing we're going to get into, I spent $100,000 on stocks in the past 48 hours, what I bought, why I bought it. Third thing up here is my cash levels. Plus, what are my plans with my cash from here, right? So we'll get into all that in this video because I know a lot of people have been wanting me to speak about kind of my personal cash levels, how I'm deploying money out there, things like that, okay? Woo-wee! Oh yeah, baby. Fun times in the market. One thing only I need from you guys, and it's for you to smash that thumbs up button, hit that like button, and hit it again, okay? Appreciate y'all for being here. And also, if you want to be subscribed to the channel, you can subscribe if you want. It's 830,000 plus subscribers deep at this point in time. We got a deep bench out there, okay? And I appreciate y'all for being here, right? Alrighty. First up, extremely important I start right here, okay? Listen, for any of the newbies in the market, you're in your first year or two of investing, right? Quit going crazy over short-term stock price moves. A lot of you guys lose your mind over these short-term stock price moves, right? And I'm just going to tell you guys, this isn't even that extreme. If you would have got started when I got started in the market during the great financial crisis, you would have seen extreme. Like we were talking stocks were going down 50, 60, 70, 80% all over the place, okay? And even some big, great companies were falling that much. If you would have got started in the market in 2022, you would have seen some crazy damage, right? This isn't even that crazy. Like it's a good drop. We're getting a really nice correction in the market, especially in certain stocks, right? But like, this is not that extreme. This is not like a great financial crisis we're going through right now. This is not a 2022 stock market crash we're going through right now. This is not the 2020 crash that was the fastest stock market crash in history, where the market dropped like 35% in like 30 trading days or something ridiculous, right? This is not that. Like, this is actually come to be expected after a huge run in the market. And I laid this out for you guys 3 weeks ago. I did a video on this channel telling you guys exactly what was going to play out here, right? It's exactly what we're seeing play out. So this is actually pretty normal for the stock market after you've been through a 2-year plus bull cycle that had a blow off top, in which, people were going crazy on margin, crazy on everything. And meanwhile, you had a president coming in who, it was, serious about tariffs and serious about cutting spending and Doge and all this stuff. That stuff's not good for the market in the short term. It might be great for the market long term, but I can tell you it's not good in the short term. And so this is to be expected, right? And remember, you're building a portfolio for the next 10, 20, 30 years, not the next 10, 20, 30 days. So stop freaking out every time stocks go down a little bit in the short term. Oh my God, oh my God. Because listen, if you need the money that bad, you shouldn't be investing. Seriously, if you need the money in the next 10, 20, 30 days, what are you investing for? You're not an investor. You're trying to gamble money around to make quick money or something like that. Like, no. Long-term investors are thinking about this. Like when I build positions out in the public account or any of my private portfolios, right? I'm thinking about where are those stocks going to be years from now, not where they're going to be days from now, not where they're going to be months from now, and not where they're going to be quarters from now. I'm thinking years down the road. I'm running projections on these companies, thinking years. When I was buying into Palantir years ago, I was thinking about where this company is going to be long term. Same thing with Tesla and Meta and Amazon and Elf and Cake and all these other companies. SoFi, blah, blah, blah. That's how you got to think. So quit freaking out. Oh my God. No, knock it off, okay? You're going to see way more dramatic markets in the future than what you're seeing in front of you right now, okay? This is like normal appetizer type stuff. Second thing is here, correction and crashes. Very important you understand this. They are gifts if you're a long-term investor. I mean, absolutely gifts. If you're buying great companies, a great company, by the way, is a company that has a bright future in front of it. They have many, many years, if not decades of growth ahead in that company, right? Great financial statements, income statements, balance sheets, right? Listen, when you get a crash or a correction in the market, be thankful. That's all you got to do. Be thankful, because they don't come that often. Like corrections, you might get a correction a year in the market. And as far as stock market crashes, and the stock market crash, I'm thinking like S&P 500 goes down 20, 25% plus from a recent high, right? It doesn't happen that often. So when you do, just understand you're getting to buy stocks at ridiculous prices. Like you're getting Black Friday pricing, but I'm talking Black Friday back when Black Friday was real Black Friday, right? Not like the fake Black Friday they have nowadays where it's just like, they up the price and then lower the price like $5, right? Nowadays Black Friday is not all that, and neither is Cyber Monday. Back in the day, it was good deals. And so when you're getting like crashes in the stock market, like you're getting that special opportunity to buy at just ridiculous prices, and you got to take advantage, because you got to understand the most money made is that first year or two coming out of a crash. Look at 2022's perfect example. We had that crash in the market, right? S&P 500 went down, peak to trough, I don't know, might have been 25% or so. NASDAQ went down like 38%, 37% peak to trough from the 2021 high to the Q4 low in 2022, right? And where was the most money made? It was over those next 2 years in the market coming out of that, right? So if you were buying Palantir, Meta, Netflix, like go through the whole list of them, Shopify, just about anything, especially anything tech related, growth related, you made so much money in 2023, 2024. It's ridiculous. Like the amount of profits I was able to take last couple of years is astronomically high, right? And that includes even into the beginning of this year when the market was still kind of moving up in January, right? So the moral of the story is don't fear these things. Don't fear crashes. Don't fear corrections. Understand that they are the best opportunity for you, and take advantage. Take full advantage. Third thing up here. Listen, you got to understand how trailing 12-month P's work, how forward P's work, how 2-year forward P's work, and how growth rates work, and how that can affect If a company is undervalued, overvalued, if you're paying a fair price for a company, you got to be able to run projections on companies. And I have the whole projections tab on 1000X for a reason, and we're about to put up advanced projections, right? I had that for a reason. And it's because you've got to be able to run projections on a company, a bullish case, a base case, and a bear case, and be able to look at all three of those cases and be like, I'm more than happy to invest my $100, $500, $1,000, $10,000, $100,000, whatever the amount of money is, into this company at today's price, because based upon where I think the PE should be for this company in this industry, based upon the growth rates, this is where the stock's going to be valued 2 years from now, 4 years from now, 6 years from now, likely, right? That's how you got to play this game. People that got into big trouble here recently in the stock market, they didn't understand trailing 12-month Ps, forward Ps, 2-year forward Ps. They didn't understand how to run projections. They didn't understand growth rates. And so they were loading up on these stocks in January and February at ridiculous valuations, while investors like myself were taking profits, right? And I was warning people countless times, including that video I did 3+ weeks ago, right? About like these valuations are ridiculous on many of these stocks. And you're going to get smacked hard because you're buying many of these stocks at ridiculous valuations, right? And a lot of people didn't understand that. And so they're just loading up because they're like, it's the hot play, it's going up, right? Loading up, then they're margining out, they're buying call options, and now their call options have expired worthless. If they were loading up on margin, which a lot of them probably were because margin just hit the highest number on record back in January, right? They've gotten margin calls now. They've gotten wrecked, like literally wrecked. And I'm not talking about like, oh, market went down, so they got wrecked. No, they got wrecked. Like they lost 50% of their capital, 70%, 100% here recently because they didn't understand this stuff, right? No bueno. Here's a good example for you. And this is good for everybody watching this video right now, okay? If I say to you, company Billy Donkey has a forward P of 25, okay? Has a forward P of 25. The expected revenue growth is 6% per year over the next 5 years. The expected net income growth is 9% per year over the next 5 years. Is this stock a good deal or not? If you cannot intelligently answer that question right there and be able to give me a case about, here's kind of why it's a good deal. Oh, no, it's not actually a good deal, and here's why. If you can't give me a educated answer on that, you need help understanding this stuff, because that's a pretty easy one to kind of figure out there and start running numbers. And then you got to know the right questions to ask. So the questions I would ask, if I was able to ask questions on that, I'd say, well, what type of industry are they in, right? I'd say, well, what type of risk factors are there with a company like this? You got to know the right type of questions to ask. I would ask, where's the balance sheet at in regards to cash and cash equivalents, short-term investments, long-term investments versus debts? You got to know the right type of questions to ask, and you got to know how to intelligently answer a question like that. If you can't, you need help, right? I got my private group for you. I'll put that as pinned comment down there today. Can help you understand all this stuff. So when you go to make an investment decision, you're educated and you understand what is likely a bad deal on a stock versus a good deal on a stock. So you're putting yourself in a situation where if you go buy a stock today, right, you're setting yourself up for success over the next few years. The short term, you can't control where the market goes short term. Like that's going to be what that's going to be. But you want to make an intelligent investment decision that is hopefully going to pay off handsomely over the next several years. And if you're buying stocks at bad prices, it's going to cost you more money than you can ever imagine. And if you're buying stocks that are at very attractively priced, you're going to make more money than you ever dreamt over the coming years, right? That's the name of the game. So once again, I can help you with all that. I got it all laid out in all those courses, teach you everything I know up here that I've learned over the past, 16 plus years. Number 4 thing, you cannot control if Wall Street is buying or selling stocks, okay? You can't control that. And they're the ones that control if the stock market goes up or down. If Wall Street wants to start dumping out of stocks en masse, if the hedge funds start dumping stocks, and the pension funds or whoever, right? The big money, the ones that are controlling tens of billions, hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars, the market's going down. Stocks are going down. There's nothing you can do about that. At the same time, if hedge funds and everybody wants to buy and buy and buy, the market's going higher. And that's just as simple as that. You are a little fish. You're a little fish. You cannot control this market at all. I'm a little fish. You think about me, you think about, oh man, Ferrari, and he's got all the cars, and he's got the big house, and he's got rental properties, and he's got all that money and all those portfolios. I'm a little teeny fish. Listen, if I had $1 billion in my investment accounts, if you added up all my investment accounts and I had $1 billion, which I don't, but if I did, I would still be a little fish. I would still be a little fish. Because you got to understand, these hedge funds have tens of billions of dollars of assets under management, hundreds of billions of dollars of assets under management, right? These pensions, I mean, it's ridiculous. These mutual funds. Then you go to the index funds. Listen, the market's going to do what the market's going to do in the short term, right? But long term, we do know the market goes up. The market goes higher, right? But the short term, it's a whole mess. It's a whole mess you got to go through, okay? And so you're a little fish out there. And so how do you eat if you're a little fish, right? When you've got all these massive sharks out here and these whales and things like that, you got to beat them to the food. You got to beat them to the food. You got to understand, the big whales, they're very slow moving. They're very slow moving. And they're not that smart. I hate to break the news to you. They're not that smart. Listen, if these guys were that smart, would they have been selling off all the big tech stocks at any price they could sell off in 2022 and dumping Meta under $100 a share and dumping nvidia at, since that time has gone up over 10x, right? Would they have been dumping all those big tech stocks at those prices? No, they wouldn't have. They're dumb. I don't know another way to put it. They're not intelligent. The whales are not intelligent. They're slow moving and clueless. And you go look back at every single time. If they were in the know and they actually knew what was going on, do you think they would have been dumping stocks and had the fastest stock market crash in history back in March of 2020? No. They would have understood, like, if they were really in the know and they really knew what was going on, they would have been buying, not selling. They don't know what's going on. The majority of hedge funds has been, data done. They have trouble beating the S&P 500. They can't even beat the S&P 500 for the majority of those guys. Like, that's pretty sad. Like, if you're spending all this time, on this game, like, you better be doing better than the S&P, especially over a 5-10 year span. And they can't even do that. So beat them to the food. They don't know what's going on out there, but they get caught up eventually. And then when they finally do find the food, it's intense. And it's an eating fest, right? So for instance, these Wall Streeters selling off Palantir down $5, $6 back in 2022, right? Then all of a sudden they start to catch wind of the story and what's going on there when the stock was a little over $20, and they gobbled up shares all the way to $120, right? And they're like, oh, I get this now. Nvidia, right? Nvidia, they couldn't understand it. They didn't know what was going on. And then when they came to buy Nvidia, boy, did they come to buy Nvidia. And that's why you see all of a sudden a stock go up a 2x in 6 months. And you're like, how is this stock just went up 2x in 6 months? And the story hasn't really changed. Well, the whales finally started to understand what was going on there, okay? And so for you to eat as a little fish, beat them to the food. Get your food first, okay? Because when they come to eat, it's going to be intense, okay? They're slow moving. They don't really know what's going on. But when they finally get it, it's like, oh, light bulb goes off there, right? Important to understand here, right? Look at a stock like Meta, right? Which $868,000 in profits I'm sitting on with that stock. That does not include dividends I've received on the stock, and that does not include the ridiculous amounts of profits I've taken on Meta stock, which is, between the different portfolios would be, in the hundreds of thousands of dollars likely, right? So this stock was $300 plus in 2021. It was under $100 in 2022. It was $300 in 2023. It was $600 in 2024, and it's likely going to $1,000 plus a share in 2025 or 2026, right? All that drama, all that moving around, they don't really know what's going on, okay? They don't really know what's going on. They're following each other around, they're sheep, those sorts of things, right? So for the noobs out there, sit back, relax, learn as much as possible. Don't try to debate. Don't try to, say this or say that, because you're not in a position to do that yet. You don't have enough experience in the market. When you've been doing this 15, 20 years, when you've made millions of dollars from this, then, you can talk on an educated level. But for some of the noobs, they want to try to state their opinions and this and that, and you're just not in the position to do it yet. And experienced investors like myself, look back and we just laugh. We literally just laugh. They don't get it. They don't get it, but they think they do. It's kind of like would be like a, a taxi driver trying to tell an F1 driver how to drive around Monaco's racetrack best. And they're just sitting back like, okay, like, nice. Okay, yeah, you're going to tell me, yeah, do it. Okay, sweet. Like, this is very entertaining, right? I saw this comment yesterday and made me feel very good about AMD stock. With a name like that, I'd rather be an NVIDIA than AMD. Like, if they don't know the difference between then and than, you're already in some trouble, okay? And so based upon the username, based upon the fact that they don't know the difference between then and than, I feel pretty good. I feel even better about AMD after reading a comment like that. I'm like, oh my gosh. But for those noobs, like, sit back, learn as much as possible. Like, in all seriousness, I wish I had somebody that had been doing this for 15, 20 years, and made millions of dollars that could teach me back in the day. I wasn't able to learn like that. I had to learn through trial and error and watching Warren Buffett interviews. That was my education, right? And trying to watch CNBC to like pick up on the terminology and things like that, right? And also remember, like, the people that stayed with me in 2022 ended up being so happy in the end, right? And I lost a lot of people in 2022. The market was going down. My stocks were going down. There was a lot of people that unsubscribed to my channel. There's people that left the private stock group and things like that right back then. What a fucking mistake. What a mistake, man. They should have just stayed with me, but they left, right? And the people that stayed with me and did not turn their back on me, they ended up being so freaking happy. They just stayed along for the ride, right? And the ones that left during 2022, they missed out on 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures in gains over the past few years, right? And so, like, you got to stay with it, stay focused, keep the faith. Like, we get through these market drama times, the corrections and the crashes. It is what it is. There's just going to be another one. And, next year will be another one. And then the following year will be another one. Like, it just is what it is. Like, you can't freak out over that stuff, right? Stay strong, stay long. Next up here, right? What did I spend some money on and why did I do it? And those sorts of things. And then we'll get into cash levels, right? So, 25th, I deposit $50,000, right? Keep in mind, I've been building cash for a while. I've been taking a lot of, crazy profits in the stock market at the end of last year into the beginning of this year. Obviously, I have real estate investment properties. I have several businesses, right? So I'd kind of been cashing up for a while. And, the market was reaching all-time highs and all-time highs. Valuation was getting stretched. So I've been building cash. Obviously, I buy stocks every single week. But what I've been buying with is much less than, what I could be buying for. That's essentially, right? For really the past, I would say at least 6 to 9 months. So I've been kind of like building cash. And now we've reached levels where it makes sense for me to really start doing some big boy buys out there, I call them, right? So I put $50,000 in this particular account, bought a bunch of AMD stock, bought Cheesecake stock, bought Elf stock, bought Honest stock, bought Celsius, right? Now Celsius, they're just going through kind of a drama time, but I think that company sets up phenomenal for the back half of this year and moving forward, right? Honest numbers look really good. Really happy with Honest. I obviously spoke about them. They're one of many stocks I spoke about yesterday. Companies on the right trajectory, going, CFO on the conference call yesterday talking about cash is going to continue to build in 2025. Company has $75 million of cash now. And the market cap's around a $500 million market cap. And then people don't even understand with the expenses, a lot of the expense line items in 2024 had to do with options that were essentially exercised, right? So that from the IPO that were then exercised here recently, right? So a lot of people don't even understand, like, they only had like $5 million left of that. And then the legal expenses was huge. So what you're going to likely see is the expense line items for Honest is likely going to drop immensely, which means profitability is going to increase. So which means don't be surprised unless Honest does a big share buyback here in the short term, or if they're in a situation where they buy out another company, don't be surprised if Honest starts to hit $100 million plus in cash. Like, they're going to continue to build cash and their CFO is confident in that, right? So like, Honest is set up really darn well here, right? Elf on a shelf looks really good. Obviously, China, tariffs, blah, blah, blah. That's here today, gone tomorrow. Like, that will be what that's going to be, right? And I always tell you guys, like, Honest could easily offset any tariffs or anything like that with pricing because their products are so low priced. Like, if they went up 50 cents to a dollar on a product, it's not like their customer base is going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't afford it now. No. Whereas other companies that are very highly priced, like, they'd have to go up pretty significantly on price, right? Cheesecake, obviously, just a beast of a company, and AMD continues to be a steal deal. Here today, moved $40,000 in. Made a big buy of Honest here today on that dip. I bought 2,800 shares on that dip here today. Like, what a phenomenal opportunity that was. I was like, okay, that's a gift. That's a gift. Like, whoever was selling Honest shares today, won't be surprised if they're paying like $10 plus for them at this time next year. AMD's a steal deal here, so bought 100 AMD shares here, bought Celsius shares, 222, bought 111 ELF shares, bought another 35 shares of Cake, then closed out those 7 of my Costco put options, right? And went ahead and bought some AMD right before market close. I thought it would be the type of day where we close at or around lows. And that's exactly kind of what happened here today, right? And so I was able to get AMD shares under $100, able to get them at $99. Oh, landscapers are here. I got to go watch these guys, make sure they do a good job, because I don't know if they've been doing a good job lately. But $99 for AMD, you got to be flipping my flapjacks. Give me those shares, right? And, I understand some people would be like, why buy AMD? Stock only goes down, right? Okay, let me show you something. This stock here fell over 65%, right? And you could say this stock sucks. It's the worst stock ever. It's a falling knife. It's a garbage stock, right? That stock I'm showing you right there, you know what stock that is? That's the leader of the stock market, the fearless leader that is nvidia. The stock fell over 65% from where it was Q4 2021 to Q4 2022. It was a falling knife. It was a garbage stock. Guess what? Everybody that bought this stock on this whole dip, whether you're buying here or here or here or here or here, they all made so much money in the end. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. If you get a chance to buy a great company when the stock is crashing, you take advantage and you buy and you buy and you say thank you. And if you can get it even lower, you say thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, that's what you do. So right now, AMD has fallen 52+%, 53%, in a little less than a year, right? So right now you can say AMD is a garbage stock. It's an advanced money destroyer. It's a falling knife. It's going to zero, right? You'll never make money on AMD. Like, okay, we'll see. I think I'm going to do very darn well on AMD. By the way, the landscapers are getting loud, okay? They're getting loud. 3 months from now, where is AMD stock? I don't know. I don't know where AMD is 3 months from now, but 3 years from now, I think it's a whole lot higher. I'm going to go out here and make a big prediction here today, okay? Big prediction. AMD will be the best performing big tech stock for the next 3 years. I'm going to make that prediction here today. And so keep track of AMD, keep track of NVIDIA, keep track of Meta, Google, Apple, Salesforce, all the big tech stocks you want. All the, we can call it any big tech stock that's $100 billion plus in market cap right now, right? My belief is AMD will be the best performing big tech stock over the next 3 years. We'll see how it plays out, but based upon my projections I have for this company, I think it will be the best performing one of the bunch, right? Let me pause this because it's about to get even louder. Alrighty, folks, I moved this party to somewhere a little more quiet, okay? Next up here, cash levels. Let's talk about that and how I'm going to deploy money from here, essentially, okay? So first thing is I still have a lot of cash, right? And so I still have quite a bit to deploy. The NASDAQ's down around 7.5% from kind of the recent highs, right? So what my plan is here, if we hit over 10% down on the NASDAQ, I'll go, quite a bit heavier in the market. If we go 20% plus down, from recent highs in regards to the NASDAQ or S&P 500, that's where I really start loading the boat and start buying in extremely heavily, like pretty much as heavy as possible. And the reason being is you just don't get those opportunities that often. So if you ever can get the NASDAQ or the S&P 500 or both to go down 20+%, from recent highs, 100% of the time, it makes sense to load the boat. There's never been a time period where it doesn't make sense to load the boat. Look back to the great financial crisis, look back to the Rona crash, right? Look back to any time period you want. Look back to the 2022 crash, look back to the Great Depression. Like, it doesn't matter what time period, we want to look at. Every single time period in the history of the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ has always been a buy, right? And if you can ever get it for that 20% plus down, you better be loading the boat. And so, you know, in the short term, sometimes it can fall even further. It can go down 30 or 50%, but you don't always want to count on that. If you get that 30 or 50%, then you keep buying and you just say, thank you. Like, this is even going to be even a bigger upside move over the next few years coming out of this, right? But basically the way to think about it is the bigger the downside move is in the NASDAQ, the bigger the downside move is in the S&P 500, the bigger the upside move will be over the next few years coming out of that. And you can look back to every crash that's ever happened. The bigger the correction or crash, the more extreme the upside move is on the other side. So always kind of keep that in mind, right? So, you know, and 2022 is just a great recent example because that's the most recent example we had where, you know, the NASDAQ was going down a lot and I was buying extremely heavily, right? And by the time we got to the end of 2022, I got actually very, very low on cash. Do you know why? Because I was buying and I was buying and I was buying, right? And so if we had some sort of major, you know, huge correction or crash in the NASDAQ or in the S&P 500, I could be in a situation where I end up, you know, getting very, very low on cash, right? But that's going to take time for that to play out, right? You know, a good video for you guys to check out if you haven't got to check out it. Oh, landscapers in the backyard now. Good video for you guys to check out if you haven't never got to see this one is 16 years of stock market advice in 52 minutes. That's a 2024 classic. I don't think I had any landscapers in for that one, but it's always entertaining here at the household, folks, okay? Appreciate you guys joining me, as always. Thanks so much for being here, folks. If you're looking to apply to join my private stock group, private wealth group, access to 1000xstocks.com, learn all the stuff you need to learn in this game, pin comment down there, fill out a form, see if we can get you access to that. Let's see, today's Thursday, maybe this weekend, but probably next week, and get you up to a much higher level than where you're at, okay? All right, guys, much love, and have a great day.